The initial plan was to build a car, train me, the driver, then try our luck in a real-deal Spec Miata race. Having done all of that and more, it seemed like KBB's Spec Miata video series had run its course. Then an opportunity came along. The National Autosport Association, or NASA, just happened to be holding their 2015 Western States Championship at Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca, the exact spot where our video series began 3.5 years ago. The poetic symmetry of returning to the beginning seemed too perfect. Plus, between weekends at Auto Club Speedway and Buttonwillow Raceway, we'd logged the 4 races necessary to run in the championship. So, here we are.
My strategy is to drive the entire track on the right side, and then hopefully people will think that's the way to do it.
The NASA Championships presented by Toyo Tires here at Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca is the pinnacle of NASA racing on the West Coast. If you have a car with fenders and 4 wheels, we have a class for it. We have a little over 300 competitors here competing this weekend in 36 different classes. You'll find that everybody's very welcoming. There's a very competitive element that thrives here at the NASA Championships, but that doesn't overshadow the camaraderie that exists within the NASA community.
So we are about to go out for qualifying run on day 1 of 3 here at the Western State Championship. Well, my goal is going to be to refamiliarize myself with Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca. You're welcome, Mazda, I'm saying the name correctly. And I think just getting comfortable with the environment, remembering all the turns, the parts that scare me, and making sure I can handle those well. I didn't crash. I did find some obvious places where I need to improve. Turn 6. You might think the corkscrew is like, oh, the big deal. That's actually not that big of a deal turn. It's neat and all. But turn 6, the really fast one where you have to rely on that little bit of camber as you come, and if you go off, it's really easy to spin the car and then go into the wall on the other side. That's the turn that I'm going to work on. It's tough to tell in terms of pacing. I'm definitely slower than Dakota Dickerson.
Micah, I'm going to put you in a wall.
But that's okay. He was right in front of me, leaving some space between him and the car ahead so he could get a very nice lap time. So I thought, hey, I'll follow Dakota for a little bit and see what I can learn. There he goes. It's like sitting in a lazy boy as a horse flees. Like, oh, okay, Dakota's gone.
My main goal would be to win Sunday. That's the main goal. But in terms of long term, I'd like to win the Teen Mazda Challenge. So in our class, just beat all the teens that are competing there. The competition is unreal this weekend. It's the Western State Championships, but it brought people from all around the country. So there's a lot of really great people. There's a lot of locals here who are really, really fast on this track.
Oh, and here's a question, kind of a Stephen Colbert-like question. Micah Muzio, great nemesis or the greatest nemesis?
The only nemesis.
Yeah!
Yeah, best nemesis I've ever had.
I'm looking at the lap times for the qualifying session, and somewhere down here, kind of towards the beginning of the end, way back in shameful 26th, is Micah Muzio with a 151.3. Though I will point out that I am one better than John Mueller, and that makes me feel pretty good. That was one of my goals, is to beat John, my sensei. And then my other goal is this guy right here, Preston Lerner. Super nice guy, writes for a competitive outlet, Automobile, maybe you've heard of them. Lovely gentleman, but I want to destroy him. So hopefully I can catch up with his pace, which, I don't know, maybe we'll see how that goes. We're gonna go out and I'm just going to have a darn fine time. And if I find speed over the weekend, that's fantastic. Looks like everybody's just sort of piling up, getting ready, so maybe I will follow suit. like to introduce you to your new slightly damaged Miata. You'll notice a little red paint here. Here's the gist from that outing, the qualifying. It was a lot of fun. Like, I had a really good time. Had a couple of dramatic moments. But it felt really good. Okay, dramatic moment number one. This is not damage. It might look like damage, but this is actually just a gentle dollop of red paint. Somehow applied to my car, maybe in turn 3. I was really doing, I think, pretty well. Had some good dicing back and forth with another car whose number I forget. And then, you know, made a couple of dumb mistakes here and there. Put 2 tires off in 6th. That's my most challenging corner. And then they kind of went away. And then eventually, John Mueller came sneaking up from behind. And he and I diced it up for quite a few laps. And that was really fun.
Seems like a good moment to talk about safety.
The most important thing that we do on a weekend is make sure people are safe first and foremost, and then secondarily have fun. In order to be safe out there, we're doing an extreme sport. Motorsports has some hazards with it, and in order to protect the participant in case something does happen, we have professionals on scene in order to handle the most significant incidents. It's very important for NASA for us to stand apart to make sure that we have our events staffed properly with appropriate response for fire, medical, and being able to extract a driver. For example, here we have a fire truck with 250 gallons of cold fire. Handheld fire extinguishers are simply not able to put out car fires, so you need to have auxiliary water and cold fire in order to deal with a fuel type of fire situation. So fortunately, NASA is large enough. We host more than 100 events per year. We have a very substantial insurance policy that protects the drivers.
There's more dirt inside the car than outside the car now. Was feeling pretty good for a while there, and then went off, came into 6, off throttle, turned in, tail came right around, these big dramatic moments, spun off into the dirt, and then managed to get myself back onto the track. But once I started picking up speed, there's a notable vibration, like noticeable, and might need an alignment too. So that's not great. Part of me is wondering if maybe we've exhausted the tires as is. I don't know. We're gonna have to do some investigation. I'm sorry, Mike, you're gonna have to get your hands dirty with tools. We're here at day 3 of the NASA Western States Championship, and feeling pretty good. We got some new tires, and the car's a little bit dirty, but not in terrible shape. Here's the potential conflict. After yesterday's spin in 6, the car vibrated wildly for the rest of the race. So much so that I thought I really should probably bring that thing in, because I'm not sure if something's really messed up. So we changed out the tires and we checked, no hub bearing issues. So I'm not sure if when I go out there, if the car is going to vibrate like hell because of some other thing that we don't know about, or if changing out the tires and whatever dirt might have been on the inside of the wheels or whatever has dealt with that vibration. So this might be 45 minutes of me one of the big things to think about is that we've made it through an entire video series without me badly damaging your car. So all that stands between you and a relatively unsullied race car is me driving for 45 minutes in the most competitive Spec Miata field I will ever experience.
With the possibility of a wild vibration.
Yeah. So I'm starting at 24th, which is actually where I started on Friday. No, Saturday. Friday.
That being said,
I have no idea when anything happens. I'm starting at 24th. I think if I can crawl my way up somewhere into the teens, I'll be happy, man. I'll just say 17th position. See if that happens. 45 minutes went by really, really quickly. I was surprised when the white flag was flown. I was more surprised when there was that big crash and all the spinning that happened at the launch. I expected turn 2 to be where Bedlam would start, but as it turned out, before we got to any of that, there was a gray car stationary right in front of me before we crested the hill. It was this color. Wasn't quite sure where he was going to wind up, and it's like, oh no, I'm going to hit the guy. There's nothing I can do to avoid this, I don't think. Hit him, pretty good impact, and I wasn't sure if my race was over, but just like yesterday, I kept going. Here's the crazy part. So there's all this damage. I didn't know what any of it looked like or how bad it was, but the car drove better after the crash. Like on the outlap, there was like a vibration. I'm like, oh no, this might be really be a problem. After the impact, comparatively smooth. Almost like I wouldn't have known anything was wrong after the impact. Mixed blessing.
I don't know, it's just, it has some personality. Look at that. Like a pretty big crunch. I mean, look at this, looks cooler. Like, way cooler now.
We'll just leave that close. I have to find Mueller so I can apologize for tapping his car. I've come to make amends.
That was great. That's Spec Miata racing, bro. There's no problem.
I looked at your car after I gently tapped it, and it looks like you can just spray over it, but I feel terrible about it. It's right on. It was right on. You're right on the cusp of making it through unscathed.
You shouldn't. That was fine. That's what it is.
big round of applause, everybody. These are your Spec Miata champions for the 2015 NASA Western States Championship, presented by Toyo Tire.
A bronze prize.
Hey!
We had a silver prize. And for you, the gold prize.
I'll take it.
And,
wait,
there's more. That's right.
Hey! No, here, wait, I have to do this right.
And champagne.
I'd rather do this with the,
Gold!
I think it's funny how you said you had 2 races to go and you weren't going to wreck the car, and you destroyed the underneath the car, and then you had 1 race to go, and you said, okay, now I only have 1 to go, and then you destroyed the front end of the car.
And now that we have 0 races to go, that means the car is literally exploding right now while we wait to get it on the trailer. The reason why I was competent at all when it came to racing was because you guided me into the exciting world of racing back at Auto Club. I didn't know anything about racing, and now I can kind of, know enough to have a lot of fun out there.
Well, it's kind of my job as Spec Miata director, but it's also so great to have people with your kind of energy come to the show and want to try. And just trying it is scary.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't just dip your toe in. It's like, screw it, you got to go.
Even if it's just Spec Miata, racing is expensive. For example, this annoyingly quick second-gen Miata is for sale for about $18,000. That's cheap for a race car, but expensive for much of society. Add gas, lodging, repairs, and $800 worth of tires each weekend, and eventually you're talking about real money. What's so great about NASA is that regardless of your resources or experience level, there's some way to participate. You can build your car and driving talent slowly. Start with basic track days, step up to time trial, and, as finances allow, eventually race. To that end, now that this gently used Spec Miata has returned to its rightful owner, I'm back at square one. Should I try to buy a Spec Miata of my own? Return to time trial with my Honda S2000? I'm not quite sure, but whatever I wind up doing, one thing's certain, I've got a good home to do it.
Been passed by a ton of people. I've been passed by a couple of fast people, but so I think maybe I found my pack area. Maybe I'm like maybe I'm a mid-pack guy, or maybe that's the explosion of failure letting me know that I'm nowhere near the mid-pack.